Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm JP Tong, and welcome to this evening's Detox Your Mind. Today, I'll be talking about insecurities. Well, all of us have a lot of insecurities, and I thought it would be good to address this aspect of ourselves so that it will enable us to understand what insecurities are. And when we have a deeper understanding and when we check in with ourselves to see where our insecurities are and identify them one at a time, then we can actually work on it. And taking baby steps, we can actually, over time, be able to overcome them. Okay, so what are insecurities? Now, well, when we talk about insecurities, it is an experience of, that you don't feel good enough. You don't, you lack the confidence, and you don't feel good. You don't feel good about yourself because you believe that, that you are inadequate, and um, and you're just very uneasy about it. Okay, so that's what insecurities are in general. So, what happened? Why? Because we are not born with insecurities. So, the question that we always ask is, what happened? What happened to you? What happened to us? Why did we develop these insecurities? Okay, so we always look back at the childhood. So think of what happened in your childhood. But before that, always identify what your insecurities are about. Is it about the way you look? Is it about the way you speak? Is it about your how intelligent you are, or is it about how competitive you are, or is it about there's so many things that people are insecure about, or and there's some of my friends who are even insecure about making choices, and they are aware about it, but it's just that they have not really spent time to identify, what led them to be this way. So so again, identify what your insecurities are, and then think back, when did this develop? Where did it come from? So track back with your childhood. Think if there have any traumas that you experienced when you were younger, and how that created the insecurities in yourself, in you, and also think about experiences where you quote unquote fail. You see, I always say quote unquote is because that's what we like to label something that we didn't succeed, and we said we failed. Actually, it's not about failure. It's more about, okay, so this method didn't work. So it's more about giving you information that this method didn't work, and allows you to try another method until you succeed in whatever endeavors it is that you want to embark on. So, so that's why I always say, quote unquote, because that's how we always view it. Okay, so our experiences of not succeeding, or experiences of rejection. Rejection can come from our parents, from our friends, from our relatives, from our loved ones, from your relationships. So failure, rejection. So again, think about your quote unquote failures and rejections, and see whether or not that is the cause of your current insecurities. Okay, and perhaps loneliness. Okay, so the feeling of loneliness can actually lead to you feeling insecure, because if you think deeper, people who are lonely, they may think it's because they cannot attract other people who want to be friends with them. So they equate that with them not being good enough. You see how the mind works? So the mind is always trying to make sense of experiences. You see, so it is a reaction to an experience. It is a reaction to an experience. So again, when we practice mindfulness, we'll be able to dissect what it is and how is it that our mind is operating, and then from there be mindful and to see how we can actually control it. And instead of focusing on this process of reaction, we actually take a step back and we do something about it, which I will talk about it afterwards. All right. So, and other causes of insecurities may be, well, social anxiety when we're socializing with people, and if for whatever reason they don't accept you, and it's not just one person. It can be over a series of various people whom you meet throughout the years, and somehow you take it really badly on yourself. You take it very badly, and you just cannot let go, and it kind of eats into you. So again, social anxiety, okay, and then many other social anxieties. Um, Usually, it is a form of rejection, okay. And for some of you who may not think that you are good enough for whatever reasons. Maybe when you were growing up, people always say, or, your parents can always say, sorry, that, oh, look at so and so, he's so much better looking, he's so much smarter, or she's so much prettier, she's so much skinnier, and always comparing, always comparing. And then when you look at yourself in the mirror, and then when you compare yourself with the magazines of what advertising companies are advertising as beauty. You have to be extremely skinny, almost anorexic looking, and you have big eyes, whatever it is that people are quote unquote brainwashing us to believe that is what, that's like the benchmark of what beauty is, which very fortunately nowadays people are awakening to that that there's so many types of beautiful people, and it does not have to be a certain stereotype. So, which is the truth. So, but because we have been looking at a lot of these magazines, and the PR companies have been brainwashing us. It's part of consumerism, where they actually promote and brainwash us that you need to look a certain way to be considered beautiful. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever the reasons are, you actually believe that you are not good enough. Okay, so you actually believe that you're not good enough, and that creates your insecurity. Okay, and some of you may be perfectionists, and again, being a perfectionist, it's also a cause of your insecurities, because everything has to be perfect. So that's your expectation, and it is very tiring. And because a lot of times you don't feel that it is good enough, so the sense of insecurity arises as well. Okay, so the key here is that whatever it is that we experience throughout from our childhood years all the way now, whatever experiences that we went through, we actually believe that it is because we are not good enough. Okay, we're not good enough. We have quote unquote failed so many times, and perhaps you get bombarded by your parents, by your loved ones, and they put you so somebody puts you down and make you feel really, really bad, and you actually believe that you are really, really not good enough. And it's through years of experiencing that, or perhaps just one specific traumatic experience where somebody whom you highly respect puts you down or rejects you, and make you feel that you're just not good enough. So that stays, and you actually believe that you are not good enough. And that's the key here. So the key here is, whatever experiences that we have gone through had made us believe that whatever it is that they told us, whatever it is that we experienced, the negativity that we experienced, we tell ourselves and we believe that we are not good enough. And that is why we have that nagging, that underlying insecurity in our mind. Okay, so before we continue, I think there's a question here. Li King. In other words, nobody or nothing can make us feel insecure unless we already have existing self-doubt within us. That's true. You see, anything can happen. People can say nasty things to us. People can put us down. Different situations, whatever it is that we're working on. Experiences at work, projects. It can be at school, and just because you did not get the desired result, it doesn't mean you have failed. It's just that whatever method it is that you use, it's just not bringing in the result. So instead of saying, "Oh, I failed," because when you say you fail, then you have been defeated. So when we say, "Okay, good," so this is information. You look at it as pure information. That all right. So this doesn't work. Well, let me try something else. So the good news is this method doesn't work for this project right now, or whatever it is that you're doing. The way that I'm handling this situation is not working. Great, that is good information. So now I know, and I will try something else. So that is something. So see, when we choose to react in a more constructive way, it does not have these negative feelings about us, and then we kind of spiral down, and we make ourselves believe that, oh yeah, so that person said that I was dumb, and I don't have what it takes, and perhaps I'm just not good enough. And it's not just one person; it's whatever number of people. So it actually sinks in, and you go, oh yeah, and you just hang on to it, and it affects you because of the insecurities. Okay. Adeline. Hi, Pastor Adeline. Thank you for watching. Insecurity is a very good topic to discuss. If we understand where our insecurity comes from, it will be easy for us to calm our mind and work towards peace. Oh, you're most welcome. Definitely. All of us have a certain level of insecurity. All of us do. And that is why, for those of us who have more insecurities, then it's very tiring, and you feel very, very unsettled. You feel very, very unsettled, and then people find you very cranky and very very temperamental. So that's why it's good to actually, if you want to gain more clarity, work on the insecurity. Okay, this is one of the major factors, major aspects of the mind that we should work on. All right. And do we have any more questions? I think we have hi Cochrane, hi Lucim, Tenzin Lima, hello Hannah, and who else? Hi Jesse, Sofan, Christine, Sharon, Pas Antoinette, Caroline, Kirsten, Julie, and hi Andrew. Okay, so and for the rest of you who's watching, hello, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Now, so these are some of the causes, the main causes of insecurities. There are a lot more, but I'm just giving you some examples so that when you check into your mind, you will be able to identify what your insecurities are, and then from there, track back. How, where did it come from? All right, track back and see where it came from. Now. And some of you may say, no, I'm not insecure. I'm very, very confident. I have no insecurity issues at all. Okay, so again, I don't know whether that's true or not. This is something you have to check in with yourself. So what are some of the habits of highly insecure people, right? I think it's something that will be interesting to talk about. So if you notice that or if you notice yourself or other people who are always, in any conversation when you're socializing, they're always criticizing other people. Always. They don't talk about themselves. They always talk about others and their lack of, and and they always gossip, quote unquote gossip. Oh, did you hear about this person? At work. It's always the negative things about the person. Okay, so if you notice yourself always talking negatively about other people, check in. What is your intention? Okay, so if you check in and you say, oh, because I enjoy talking to other people, well, look deeper. Because in general, okay, there are exceptions. In general, if you spend most of your time with your friends or online, with your friends, either in person or online, and you always talk negatively about other people, and you have a good laugh, and you really enjoy it. That is because you do not want, because you're so insecure about yourself, you do not want people to focus on you. So you rather talk about other people and how incompetent they are, and how they're so inadequate, so that it makes you look better. It makes you look better. That's one. And number two is, it doesn't give people, you shift the focus of your friends from, instead of focusing on you get them to focus on other people. Okay, so it is a form of manipulation. So again, check in, check in. Okay, so always check and see how. Like I always let people know, if you want to talk about other people's negative points among friends, among colleagues, it is because you want to do something about it. You want everyone to understand what this person is not doing or not contributing in a way that is, perhaps, let's say for work, certain habits that are not constructive for the project. Yes, then you talk about the person's negative habits that are not contributing, and then we see, as a group, we see how we can support this person to improve. So if the intention is to help the person improve, or to be in a better place, then okay, then it doesn't fall under this. Okay, but if you're just criticizing, and that's it, because you want to highlight it to other people, then you got to check in with yourself. And also, if you notice people who loves to do that, you watch and you observe. In general, they are highly, highly insecure about something. All right. And other habits of highly insecure people are, well, as I said, manipulative. Okay, so some people who are very, very manipulative, they do not want to tell you outwardly, directly, oh, this is what I'd like you to do, but somehow they'll just manipulate you to do that. Because why? Because when they tell you to your face, when they are actually open about it and they are direct, they cannot take rejection, because they feel insecure. Perhaps when they were younger, they were rejected a number of times, and they just didn't know how to handle it. They did not know how to process it in a constructive way, so they had latched on to that, and they're hypersensitive to rejection. So that is why they always manipulate others. They always manipulate ways whereby you will come to say yes to them, or that you will actually agree with them without even realizing that they actually manipulated you to say yes. Okay, and there's certain ways, and people like that who are very manipulative, when they say something, it's always sitting on the fence. So either and they didn't say yes or no, it's something on the fence. So they kind of manipulate you to jump to the conclusion of whichever side of the fence they want you to take. And then when you confront them, they say, no, this is what I said. I didn't say yes, or I didn't say no. You came up with the conclusion. So many ways how people can be very manipulative. So again, it's because of that insecurity in them. So they resort to ways like this. Okay, And I think other habits would be, some people who just can never say no, right? So if you've met people who can never say no and they're always like, is always a yes person, it's because they are so focused on being nice, on being accepted, that although it doesn't even make sense for them to say yes, but they do it just to please the others because they cannot handle it when other people have negative thoughts about them. Okay, so again, that is a reflection of highly insecure people. Okay, and there are many others, so I'm just quoting you some so that you can start identifying what these habits are. All right, so now moving along, how do you overcome these insecurities? Well, like I said, first of all, understand where your insecurities are. Okay, so when certain things happen and it triggers a form of reaction, that is a reflection of insecurity. Like, how some people they always have to be right. They're always very self-righteous. It's their way or it's no way. It's because, again, one of the reasons is because, and to you, by the way, it may feel that, oh, wow, this person is so righteous, so confident that, it's always their way. But it's actually that they are putting up a front to cover up their sense of insecurity. So again, you have to watch. Why is it that they have this hang up that they always have to be right? And they can never be wrong. And if you tell them anything, remotely pointing to them and say, oh, actually, what you say is wrong, then they just become very angersome, and it's a huge reaction. Okay, and they become extremely, extremely aggressive. That is just a mind game. It's just a mind game to get you to back off. Because why? You see, the more dramatic a person reacts, it shows how deeply insecure they are. Okay, so again, the more dramatic they are with their reaction, it is a reflection of how deep the insecurity is. All right, so think about it. And that's how I assess people. All right, so understand your insecurity and then think back where it came from. Where it came from, that's the first step. All right, and then think of your good points. I'm sure you do have good points. So think about that. So what I'm trying to say here is to assess yourself. What are you insecure about? Okay, what are your good points? All right, if whatever it is that people say about you, it can be a parent say, oh, you're so lazy, you don't do anything, you're such a failure, you just sleep and eat all day and play video games or watch TV or just party, and you're going to be a failure, you're so lazy. Now, we may interpret that as, well, since I'm going to be a failure, well, I'll just become a failure and that's it. It's like you have already, it's like a self-defeated attitude. Because why? Because there's another habit of yours called laziness. So you're not willing to put in the effort. And because you never put in the effort, and when you look around your friends and they're all excelling except you, and you feel really insecure about it, and you feel very inferior as a result, and then perhaps your parents or your teachers or whomever kept saying you're a failure, you're a failure, you're a failure, and you know that actually you can do something about it because you are lazy and you can change that, but you don't want to, then you got to be honest with yourself. You see, a lot of insecurities are also a result of you being in a denial mode. And instead of focusing on what you need to do for yourself that will benefit you ultimately, so that you will ultimately be a happier person and you live your fullest potential and live your best life, if you really, really want that, then you have to be honest with yourself. Okay, so instead of focusing on, on the word failure, you again take a look. Have you gone 100%? Have you put in all the effort to succeed? Have you done that? And even if you have, focus on other methods to get you to your success. When people focus and just repeat to themselves and to others, "Oh, I'm a failure. I don't know." It's a lot of pity. They focus on pitying themselves, and they just get stuck. And they want you to understand. Of course, we will understand. But you know what? If I am a good friend, and if I see you wallow in your so-called pity party, okay, pity party, I will go, okay, fine. Okay, the party's over. Now, stand up, focus on what is more constructive. Okay? Although you have not succeeded in whatever it is that you want to do, you can always succeed. So if your issue is being lazy, for example, then just be more hardworking and see what happens. And I'm sure some of them will say, "Oh, but you see, I was hardworking, I tried, and then I failed." Well, keep trying until you succeed. You see, but because some people are so focused that they're so caught up with their habit of being lazy, they will actually manipulate you and tell you other issues to cover up their laziness. And that's how they do it. And at the end of the day, yes, you can convince everyone, oh, that it is, that because you have that, that psychological scar, it was such a traumatic experience. Yes, I'm sure it was traumatic. I'm sure there's a psychological scar, but you know what? The good news is you can heal from it. It's whether or not you want it bad enough. Remember my earlier episodes, I always say, do you want to change bad enough? Do you want to change to be happier, change to live a life that that can fulfill your highest potential, so that you become a happier person and more at peace. More at peace. If you want it bad enough, then definitely you can do it. Instead of wallowing in something that won't lead you anywhere, except that you will, at the end of the day, regret. You will regret, because when you see everyone else being happier, you're going to ask yourself, you're going to be lonely. You see, so it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So there are repercussions, there are consequences if we choose to not be constructive and not want to fulfill our highest potential and not want to be happier. Either way requires effort. To hide in our laziness, for example, that requires a lot of effort. Because why? There's a lot of effort to think how to convince other people and manipulate them to not focus on your laziness, but actually to focus on other things. So you have to keep lying and lying. Since you're going to put in that effort, might as well be constructive. That's how I think. Okay, so moving along. So again, you have to be very, very honest with yourself. Are the feedback that you have been getting, do they have any sense of truth to it? Okay, so if you cannot see for yourself, then ask your best friend. What do you think? Ask friends whom you can trust, who knows that they are not going to be biased and they love you regardless, and they will give you honest feedback. So if you have a person who can give you honest feedback, ask them, so what do you think? Have that courage to ask and then find out. Yes, it can be painful, but you rather go through that feedback and just get it and identify it so that you can work on it, than to let it fester and fester and fester year after year after year. Okay? So again, be honest with whatever negative habits it is that you have, and then see what you can do. All right? And as I always say, love yourself the right way. Well, you can have cheat days, but as long as your cheat day is less than your than you actually doing something about it, I think it's fine. Just take one cheat day in a week or in a month. I think it's fine. It's the baby steps. It's always the baby steps. Every time when we want to adopt new habits that are positive, that can actually enable us to be happier as a person and to live our best life, that takes a lot of effort to adopt a new habit. Otherwise, if you're doing the same things over and over again, and you process your thoughts the same way over and over again, but you wish for a different result, I mean, that's crazy. You're not going to have a different result. You're just in denial. And that is the hard truth. So if you want to be happy, you want to change your life, you want to have more clarity in your mind, and you want to have more peace, okay, and you want to make better choices in your life, definitely you have to detox your mind, and in today's topic, focus on your insecurities, okay? So once you have identified what your insecurities are, then you see whether or not it is something that is not true, but you believe because that's what people say. Okay, just because that's what people say, you don't have to believe in it. You can do something about it. All right. So again, take baby steps. Whatever it is, you have to take baby steps. Okay, and take some time to chill and reflect and contemplate. Okay, relax your mind. Relax your mind and just chill and just focus on whatever it is you want. Okay, for me, I just like to focus on my breath because that calms my mind immediately, and then I'll just take maybe a 5-minute, 10-minute chill time. Since meditation, has puts off many people, so I have coined it chill time. I think that's more cool, all right, and that's more catchy. So yeah, so take some chill time with yourself and just relax and just focus on your breath. Because why? When you do that every day and you just focus on one thing, and every time when your mind drifts, you just bring your mind back and just focus. When you do that, what are you actually doing? You are actually strengthening the control of your mind. So when you have a better control of your mind, then anytime when your emotions arise, you feel lazy, you are distracted, and you know you should not be focusing on all these distractions and whatever it is that you're feeling that is taking you away from what you need to do because you're in the process of rehabituating yourself to live your best life, then you have that strength and resilience of the mind to be able to go, okay, bye. Thank you for all these thoughts. Thank you for all these emotions. It's okay. Let me focus on what I need to do right now. So when we have this chill time, we will be able to develop this strength. Okay, so if you are struggling on focusing on what you need to do versus being carried away with your emotions, like, oh, I'm not in the mood, and so on and so forth, then if you notice that, then it is feedback for you that you still do not have much control of your mind. So the good news is take the chill time, and after a few months, you will notice that it's much easier to not entertain all these emotions and thoughts and focus on what you need to do. All right, try it and let me know. And again, gratitude. Okay, keep a gratitude journal. This gratitude. I have spoken about gratitude. I spoke about gratitude last weekend, and throughout all my episodes, I've always spoken about gratitude. You have no idea how powerful adopting this habit of gratitude is. It is so powerful. When you are very grateful about all that you have, you will not be focusing on what other people tell you. You will not be focusing on your reaction, because why? Everything that you experience becomes something for you to learn and for you to go, okay, so this is what happens. Fine, so I won't do this again, but I'll do it. So to you, it is about processing your experiences and then learning from it so that while you become a wiser person. So the approach, the way you perceive, the way you react to experiences will become more constructive. And as a result, you grow to be more resilient, more mature, and definitely more wise, and more clarity as a result. So gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. All right. And after the lockdown, I would suggest that you volunteer in some sort of a charity. Donating money is great. I mean, that's the least you can do, but get involved. Get your hands dirty. Go once a week. Go, if you like the soup kitchen, because there are a lot of people who are struggling with, with feeding their homes. Um, Go and give them food. Talk to them. See, get involved. Any charity, when you get involved and you get to experience how others are struggling, and then you look at yourself, a lot of realizations will arise. A lot. Okay, so that's what I would highly, highly recommend for all of you to do. Then over time, your insecurities will become less and less and less, because instead of focusing on your self-created belief, instead of focusing on that, you train yourself to focus out, and you will, instead of reacting to experiences in a negative way, you will begin to react to experiences in a more constructive way. Okay, I hope all this makes sense. All right, so again, thank you very much. I think I have gone past my 30 minutes. If you do have any questions, do write your comments in the comment section, and I can always answer them later on. Okay, so thank you very much. And before we go, I would like to thank today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is anonymous. Dedication is dedicated towards all beings' liberation from suffering and attainment of compassion, wisdom, and true happiness. So if you like my program, do click on there's a link at the end of this program. Click on the link for you, so that you can contribute to the program, because with your contribution, we are able to sustain our online programs for everyone to enjoy. Okay, and at the same time, do share this program with on your Facebook page. On your Facebook, please share, because you never know who would like, who you can benefit by listening to what I have to say today. All right, so share on your Facebook page, and yeah, I think everybody needs to hear something constructive and positive, especially during this lockdown in Malaysia, and people are trying to understand how to move forward. All right, so on that note, I'll see you next weekend. And for those of you who will be joining me at the workshop, which I will have at 9:45, it's a closed door workshop where I will guide you on a meditation about the topic that I have just spoken. Okay, it's very exciting. I love that session. So, well, you can always email. There's an email there as well. You can always write in to join the workshop. Okay, so I'll see you guys shortly. Take care. Bye-bye.